Hello, welcome to the Cyborg here at the StarCityGames.com Players Championship 2016 edition. I am here with Bradley Carpenter, Season 3 point leader, cruising into the Players Championship. You just absolutely annihilated the third season.
I wouldn't say annihilated, but yeah, no. I won the Open, and then from there I won a Classic, which propelled me into a position where I was pretty safe.
Two classics.
Two classics, yeah. The third one, or the third tournament one, was kind of like, okay, I'm definitely locked at this point. I could probably de-stress a little bit, but I still tried to go to as many tournaments as I could to shore it up. Representing
Team Nexridge Nexus here, the lone representative for the team in the Players Championship, but you're here and you're playing Esper Aggro, a deck similar to kind of the white-blue flash deck you won one of the classics with, but under the tutelage of Kevin Jones, you are now on the Esper Aggro chain.
Yeah, I wanted to play Marvel in this tournament, but I roomed with Kevin at our friend Harlan Fierce for 3 or 4 days, and I played Marvel against him, and he smashed me to pieces, and I said, all right, Kevin, what are we playing? Guess it looks like that one's a good choice.
All right, well, let's take a look. This is the deck that Jim Davis and a couple of the MGG guys played at the Invitational. You're now sleeving it up here. Your one-drops of Toolcraft, Exemplar, and Thraben Inspector. You got Scrap Heat, Scrounger on 2, which you'll see on the next page, but Thalia as well here, a card a lot of people are going to in these aggressive decks to beat Ishkanah.
Yeah, exactly. And same with the one-drops like Toolcraft and Thraben. Blue-White struggles against Black-Green, I think, a lot of the time, Black-Green Delirium, just because it has a hard time getting under them, and having another one-drop that you can play and then crew into Copter and, so on and so forth, and then leverage your counterspells is huge. But
so let's take a look at the next page. There's the Scrounger, as we mentioned, kind of our black splash, so to speak, in this deck. But then we have the two best blue-white cards, Reflector Mage, Spell Queller, 4 ofs of each.
Yeah, they're just the best tempo cards that we've seen recently in, I don't know, the past couple of years. At least since I've been playing, these cards are insane from a tempo perspective. So when you have a card like Reflector Mage and Spell Queller that cause a lot of tempo, if you can get to the board before your opponent with the early drops like one Scrap Keep Scrounger and Toolcraft and stuff like that, I mean, they can't win. They're just on their back foot the whole time, and you really leverage the tempo of these cards.
Yeah, you sort of have the Mardu Vehicles feel of curving out, but then you have the good blue-white cards as well.
Exactly.
All right, taking a look at the next slide, we're going to see Smuggler's Copter, Gideon, 2 cards we expect to see a bunch of. You have 4 copies of each, of course. Very good in this deck.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gideon's one of the pillars of the format, I would say. If you're not playing Gideon, you're playing Emrakul. And if you're not playing one of those two, you're probably wrong. And then you have Rebuff here just as a counterspell to stop Ishkanah. Just when Ishkanah is one of the best things that someone can use in the format right now to stabilize, and that's just another answer to keep them off of that, so you can kill them with your powerful cards like Gideon or your early threats that just put on such an incredible clock, and Thopter to sift through your draws and make sure you have everything you need at the right time.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to that has Revolutionary Rebuff has just immediately said Ishkanah. This is the card. This is the reason this card exists. This is why we have it in our deck. We have to beat the Spider.
Yep.
More cards. This is more removal here. You got Declaration and Stone Stasis Snare, some of the best options in white. You have 2 copies of each.
Yeah, Declaration Stone's, once again, really good at clearing away Ishkanah spiders. It's also really good at taking away like an early Servant of the Conduit. If they play out multiple creatures, you can kind of out-tempo them that way, because you don't really have a whole lot of time when you're playing against an aggressive deck and they give you a bunch of clues. You don't have time to sit there and just pay 2 mana and draw a bunch of cards. You're just going to take 9 more damage. Card like Stasis Snare is just a very good removal spell. You want instant speed in this format just because of Smuggler's Copter. Gideon also is another thing that you can hit at instant speed. So it's just utility. You want to have at least 4 removal spells, I think, in an aggressive deck.
Moving into the mana, we got Port Town, Concealed Courtyard, Prairie Stream. These, this allows your black splash with Scrounger, and then your blue-white cards. Islands, plains, the things you need to cast your spells. Moving into the sideboard, here we have kind of the angels that we saw, Tim MGG used last time. Bruna here, or Gisela here, is kind of new to you, but Archangel Avacyn and Self of Spirit are cards we saw them play at the Invitational.
Yeah, I believe the Archangel Avacyn and the Selfless Spirit are mostly there for... They're actually there for a lot of matchups, but I like them as the combo. The combo itself is very good against the aggressive decks, or it's our plan against the aggressive decks, because their spells cost so little that it's very hard to out-tempo them. So we're generally on our back foot there, and that's our way to basically play the control deck. Also, Archangel is very good against decks that you're trying to be a counterspell deck. You can deploy a couple cheap threats, and then you just hold a bunch of mana open for every turn after that. So Archangel Avacyn just lets you use that mana on some of those turns, and Selfless Spirit is basically our concession to also to Kozilek's return.
Sure,
so
gotta have something to avoid the sweepers. Moving on through the rest of the cards here: Ceremonious Rejection, Spell Shrivel are your counter spells of choice. Then Essence Flux is a new one. They did not mess around with this at the Invitational.
Yeah, that was kind of Kevin and I's idea. I basically went through a list of cards that I think could be good against the aggressive decks, because that was what we were struggling with this deck. And we were going back and forth with a bunch of different options, and I said, all right, well, Gisela is very good against like the red-black deck, for example. The issue is they kill it. So you have stuff like Selfless Spirit, but they just kill that before you kill your Gisela. Or before they, you play your Gisela and then they kill it. So a card like Essence Flux, I was like, it's something we'll have deck lists in this tournament, so maybe they'll respect it. On top of that, it's just another selfless. It's the fourth Selfless Spirit without it actually being Selfless Spirit, because we didn't want to play 4 of that card. And you can also blink a Reflector Mage and cool stuff like that. Sure. Avacyn. It's got a lot of niche
little added
uses.
Value.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. More counter spells between here. Dispel, then you have your removal, more Declaration Stone, and Fragmentize. Everyone playing white's basically bringing this card to fight Copter, fight, Aetherworks Marvel, you name it.
Yeah, I actually like it less against Aetherworks Marvel, but I definitely am a big fan of it for against vehicles. It's just insane. It hits most of their permanents. Even against this deck, it's actually good because you can hit Stasis Snare, you can hit Scrap Heap early to stop from taking 6 or whatever. And then it's also good against, one of the best cards in the format, Smugglish Copter.
All right. Got anything else here?
Yeah.
Looks like it. So, you've been influenced by Kevin Jones. You've played the deck a lot in the Marvel matchups. Have you played everything else? You said you're struggling with aggro.
Yeah, aggro I think is our biggest weakness. Hopefully we can overcome that with the Gisellas and kind of out-tempo them. But I like the deck. I liked it enough that I wasn't going to just play it because Kevin was playing it. I was playing it before, and it was the only deck I could 5-0 a league with. So I was like, all right, it's got to be at least decent.
All right. Lastly, what do you expect the meta to be this weekend here at the Players' Championship for Standard?
I expected a lot of Marvel, few aggro decks, and maybe 1 to 3 vehicles. I know Kevin and I were going to be on the Esper deck. I think at least 2 people on the red-black deck, and a bunch of Marvel with maybe 2 to 3 black-green.
All right. So we'll see how it shakes out. Best of luck tomorrow. For Brad Carpenter, I'm Nick Miller here in the Cyborg. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Roanoke.